Hey there, this is Katherine, sharing the latest auto ship I received of the Slimline dies from Diamond Press. This is holiday Slimline background, I think is what they're calling it. It's got a holiday theme for sure. You've got a village and also a Santa scene with Santa flying in the sky. You get this background die that cuts out the edge, and then you can lay these other dies into it. So you can have the holiday scene, or you can have this Santa flying over the trees scene. So you've got some flexibility. I've got several videos on the Slimline products from Diamond Press. So if you've got previous ones and you're looking for some inspiration, be sure and check that out. I'll have them linked in the description. You get a couple of banner dies in this one and then some word dies. I'm going to make several cards, and then I'm going to make a fun project at the end, so be sure and stay tuned. You might enjoy that for your holiday table. Okay, so on this first one, this is a pretty simple one. I've cut with glitter paper a blue background, and then I also cut it out with the silver paper. So you can see I've got this beautiful glittered background with the scene on the front as well. I've used a bunch of red line tape to glue that silver paper down, and then I will add this to a blue, kind of coordinating blue card base, I should say, Slimline card base, which is 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. These dies are 3.25 by 8.25, the outer one with the stitching. And so that is a standard Slimline, in my opinion, that I use all the time, is that 3.5 by 8.5 inches that you can make yourself. I do have a die that cuts one, but I usually just make it myself because it's so easy. Just fold your cardstock long ways and then trim it down to 3.5 by 8.5. I've also taken a second here while I'm letting that paper kind of stretch out a little bit. I find that the glitter paper sometimes can kind of not crumple, but it just needs a little extra kind of stretching down on there because it kind of pulls a little bit when I run it through my machine. And so I'm just letting that be pressed down a little bit. And then I'm going to come back and add these fun dies. So I've got Merry Christmas and Wishing You, but I decided the white just totally disappeared on the silver cardstock, so I'm going to go back through and cut it out of that same blue that I cut my cardstock from, my card base from. And so I'll just pop those out, and they're very pretty. These would be great to run through your Xyron machine because they are very delicate. I do have a fine tip glue that I will use that works fine too, but if you're looking for a dry adhesive, your Xyron would be a great application if you have that to use. And so I'm going to glue these down, and I've got a little bit of the glue on the back. You can see the little tiny dots there, and then I'll let this dry really well so it will adhere to the glitter paper. And then you got that cute banner up there, Wishing You a, and I popped that up with foam because I wasn't going to paper piece the letters back in. I thought it showed up really nicely against the blue glitter cardstock. And I'm going to add a few snowflakes on here. I've had these snowflakes forever, and they've been really handy this year on my wintry cards. And so I'm just going to take a second here and add a little bit of glue. You could use a glue dot too. I just didn't have one small enough. I only had a large glue dot. So that's it on that card. A quick and simple, but a nice impact with that beautiful glitter paper. Okay, I have cut another panel. This one has the Santa scene in it, and so it is white. I am going to come back and color this in with my Copic markers. I decided to use Copics because I wanted a very controlled application, so to speak. I could have used watercolor, but I think it would have been much harder to control. This is a very delicate die cut. As you can see, those snowflakes are quite thin. And then, but I also wanted to have all these different colors. So I just decided to try the Copic and see how it turned out. And I'm pretty happy with it. So I've got, this one's a YG67. I'll list the markers in there. I think I put the caps so you could see them too. I've been trying to do that more often because I won't remember what it is. I'll make a video and I'm like, I don't know what color that was. I think it was black. I don't know. So I'll link those in the description if you're interested. And then I'm going to come back here after coloring my trees, and I'm going to make my Santa sleigh and my reindeer all black. So you've got a nice little silhouette looking kind of thing. That's what I was hoping to go for. Now on these, I did come back after I did them. When I looked at it really close, I missed a couple of spots, of course. And so I just filled those in with my marker. I don't see quite as well as I used to when I was a young person, and I didn't have my reading glasses on, so I'm sure I missed some of the details, so I fixed that off camera. But overall, I think it turned out pretty good. And to be honest, the background that I'm going to make to put behind it, you really can't see any white spots. So what I'm saying is that there were some white spots that I missed, but the background was going to kind of cover that up anyway. So not perfection, right? Okay, so now I'm going to work on that background, and I've got 3 Distress Oxide ink pads here that I'm going to start blending. I've got this blue, I think this is Salty Ocean, and then you can see I've got Peacock Feathers and Villainous Potion, which is a newer purple to the line. And you'll notice I'm not blending very smoothly here. I am purposely kind of making circles. I want it to be a little bit of a swirly sky looking kind of thing. And so I'm intentionally taking my brush and kind of blending it like to give it a little bit of movement, so to speak, in the sky. I'm going to take some Post-it tape here and add that to my fingers, so I'm not sticking my fingers all in my Distress Oxide because it's still damp and it will leave some fingerprints, and then you have to blend over it. So I don't want to do that. All right, so I'm coming back with that purple, and I'm going to blend that in. I'll go a little heavier at the top, but there's no real, right or wrong method with this. I just wanted to have kind of a sky scene, and I knew I wanted a little bit of purple in there as well. So let's see how it turned out. Love that. And I will say that this is one of those where it's so much prettier in person. I mean, the cameras are so good, but it just doesn't seem to get all that detail and vibrancy. But anyway, so I'm very happy with how that background turned out, and it's super easy. And again, no right or wrong way, you just do it. And you can blend it however you want to. All right, so I'm going to let that dry really well, and then I'm going to run Season's Greetings through my marquee machine, and you can see you've got 2 words that are beautiful, and I'm going to add these to the top of my card, and I will add this to a purple card base. And then I love that contrast with the black onto the purple. Just looks really, really pretty. All right, so I'm gluing this down, and then I will come back and add that Season's Greetings again using my fine tip glue, and I will attach those to the top, and that will be it on this card. Actually, this has turned out to be a 1-layer card now that I look at it. So. But with a lot of punch to it. So I really had a good time using those Copics in that application there. So, okay, so I am moving on to the next card. I am going to make a little village scene. So I have cut this background into my paper without the edge, and then I'm going to trim this into pieces. So I've kind of trimmed this down. There's a little spot where there's a gap. And so I'm just going to cut those apart, and I am going to create my little village with that. So this green cardstock I cut to about 3 inches by I think 4 3/4. So it's a little bit skinnier than I normally would, but I wanted to fit this village on there. So, and I also will cut a 3rd piece as well off camera. So I'm going to use 3 for this. The first piece I'm going to glue down onto my cardstock, and then I will layer it up with some foam tape. And so I'm going to glue that first spot. I'm leaving some room at the top because that's where I'm going to put my banner, and then I will glue that down. I'll trim that up, and then I'm just kind of laying out where I want this to go. So this is totally customizable. I'm just kind of showing you the idea of how you could build a little village with this Slimline die. And here's my second piece. I'm going to trim down my foam and add that onto there. And then I will also trim that down as well to fit. So just really, really easy. You could customize this with any color cardstock. You could color them, you could add glitter glue, you could do a lot of different things to create a village scene. So I'll come back with another piece that I had cut, and then I will also add some foam tape to that at the bottom. So I'm just kind of placing it, seeing where I want it to go, and then I will add that foam tape at the bottom. And then I will lay that down on the bottom. I'll have to trim that up as well. And so just a really quick and easy way to use this die set in another way. Okay, got that placed, and now I will trim that up. Let me get that foam underneath, and then I will add a little bit of glue on there just to make sure that it stays where it should. And you've got your little panel. So cute. Okay, let me trim this up, and then I will layer this onto a piece of light blue cardstock, and then I'm going to go onto a darker blue card base. And you get a little dimension too. It's just a lot of fun. Okay, so let me glue this on, and then you can see I've cut Sending You from glitter paper. Love the way that that looks. Again, doesn't look as good on camera, but it's pretty in person. And I will just glue that directly onto my card front. You could add some snow up here. Again, you know, totally customize it. You could ink blend on there to create a background. I was just kind of playing around with this to see what I could get. All right, so I've cut Warmest Wishes from that same cardstock base color, and I will add that on there using my fine tip glue. And I'm just going to kind of position it where I want it to go, and then I'll adjust the word where I want it to sit. Okay, and so Warmest Wishes, Sending You Warmest Wishes. I will come back in just a second and add a little bit of shimmer. You could add, I thought about adding glitter glue, but I just ran out of time. I needed to get finished, and so I didn't have time to let that dry. But I would love to do some glitter glue where you could squeeze it out, take a paintbrush and paint it onto there and let those pieces dry. Ooh, I would love that. But again, just a little short on time. So a lot of possibilities. So I've got this this is Wink of Stella shimmer pen, and I'm going to add a little bit on there. Again, hard to see on camera. I sound like a broken record, but you get that beautiful shimmer on there, and it just kind of helps finish off your card and have a little bit of a winter feel. And that's it on that one. And it is an A2 size card base. I don't think I said that, so because I cut my layers a little bit different to accommodate my village scene. Okay. All right, so here's the last project that I was referencing in the beginning. Thanks for staying with me. If you're still here, I'm going to do some scoring. I am not a math major, so I have listed this in the description. You're going to score your ends of these. I've cut these twice, and then you're going to score it 4 1/8. I'm doing it 5 1/8 on camera because I started at 1. But that was because I wasn't paying attention. But I did the math in my head, so that was good, I guess. But you're going to gently score that. I didn't. You'll see I went through the little sleigh and the string, I guess, that's holding the sleigh. You don't want to break that. So I just gently scored that. Now I scored the ends at 1/8 of an inch. Or no, it's 1/4 of an inch, excuse me. Again, got the directions listed below. But basically you're folding in half this panel, and then you're going to fold in your tabs where you scored it. Okay, so it's pretty simple once you get the measurements in front of you. So I'm just gently working this together, and you can see I'm going to fold that in half, and then I'll come back and do the same thing with those tabs. And I am using a 110-pound cardstock. For this project, you would want to use a thicker cardstock because this is so delicate, the intricacy of the inside with the sleigh and all that. You would want to use a little bit thicker. I would say at least 100 pounds. You could get away with less, but I would want to use a thicker one for this project. So I have cut one end of the tab off, and then I'm going to come back on the other one, and I'm going to cut that stitched line. You can see that right there. So that tab is left, but I did trim it down to that little, the stitch line off. That way you won't see any overhang when you glue these together. That makes sense. Now let it dry. I immediately start messing with it. I give it 1 second to set up because I'm so impatient, and you need to let it dry if you're going to use liquid glue. So I'm doing it again, and I'm going to let it sit and really adhere. You could use red line tape. I just find that liquid glue fits better for these applications, I guess because it wets the fiber, and I just feel like it's a stronger bond, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so I've got that one end glued together, and then I'm going to come and repeat the same process again. I'm just choosing which tab to trim off, and then on the opposite tab, you're going to trim off the little dotted piece. Again, that's optional. That's just so you don't see, it's just a tiny bit long, and so you just don't see the tab poking through the backside, but it's not necessary. But it's just a quick little way to fix it where you don't see the edges, so to speak. Okay, and so the finished product is this square that I am going to turn into a votive holder or a votive cover. Here's my candle, and it's about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches high, and it's a flameless candle, and I'm going to pop it in there. Look at that, how cute. And it's so pretty in person. I've got a picture at the end of the video where you can see it lit up. So I could imagine making these in all different colors and laying them around your house. You could finish it if you wanted to by gluing it on a square, but I did not do that. And you can see the finished picture hang until the end to see it. You can do them any color. So this one, I got a little ambitious, and I folded it I scored it at 2 1/8, 4 1/8, 6 1/8, finishing my ends the same way. And I made a little small one just with one, and it actually turned out to be really cute too. I'll take a picture of that as well. But I'm going to use a little tea light. So this is a little bit smaller, obviously, but look at that. How fun with the snowflakes popping out and Santa. I mean, my goodness, you could just make a bunch of these and set them around your table or in your decorations and turn it on at night. Oh my goodness, I'm going to put these on my shelf. So anyway, I was excited about that. It worked out pretty good. So I'll, again, list all of that in the post, in the descriptions if you want to. Here's a recap of the cards I made. I've got those 2 Slimlines, and then I'm calling that my Holiday Village card, Warmest Wishes. And then here are those 2 votive covers, I guess you would call them, that I made. Super, super cute. I'm so happy with how those turned out. So anyway, be sure and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, give me a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much, and have a great day.